Hey, what's up? My name is Sean and welcome to the Hidden Hand. The Hidden Hand is a brand new utility device that allows for eye-popping vanishes and stunning productions anytime, anywhere, with almost anything. It's not a reel and it's not a pull, and there's no invisible thread. Your sleeves are rolled up and your hands can be shown unmistakably empty because they are. Sounds too good to be true, doesn't it? Enough hype. Let's take a closer look at the Hidden Hand. Alright, I told you at the outset that there's no reels, no pulls, and no invisible thread. And that's true. Mostly. In all honesty, there is a thread, and it is rendered effectively invisible during performance, but it's not invisible thread. Once you've calmed down, I'll show you exactly what's going on, and you'll see why it's awesome. Are we good? All right. Like I said, there is a thread, and the thread runs from my hand down my arm to my sleeve. When an object, such as a ring, is borrowed, it's surreptitiously laced or secretly threaded onto the string. When you raise your hand up, you just let go and it falls down the string to your elbow. You can show your hand completely empty because it really is. To reproduce the object, reverse the actions. Tilt your hand down, and the object falls back to your hand, ready to be reproduced wherever. Now that you have a basic idea of what's going on, let's take a closer look at the Hidden Hand. Now that you have a basic understanding of what's going on with the Hidden Hand, let's take a closer look at exactly what it is and how to install it. This is the Hidden Hand. It is incredibly simple, but don't let this simplicity dissuade you. It is irreducibly complex. Every part of this gimmick serves at least one purpose. Some of them serve 2 or 3 purposes. It is incredibly simple, and it's simple by design. So let's walk through exactly what this is. On one end, you have a safety pin. That is pretty straightforward. That is for attaching your Hidden Hand gimmick to your clothing or to your arm. At the other end, there's a little loop just big enough for your finger. This is what attaches the Hidden Hand to your hand. Your finger slides into the loop. Now you will notice the loop has a knot in it, and that's just a very simple overhand square knot that keeps the loop in place and it won't slip. If for some reason you ever cut this or break it and you need to retie it, it's really simple. You just hold the ends together and tie a knot. And that will give you a perfect little loop like that that won't come undone. On this end, with the safety pin, same deal, just a regular knot. If you need to shorten it, you can just cut it off, feed it through the loop on the little loop on the safety pin, and tie 2 or 3 knots to make sure it's secure. And speaking of the loop and the knot on the loop, if for some reason the loop is a little bit too big and you have really little tiny hands and the loop is sliding up your finger past your second knuckle, which isn't good, it's easily fixed. Take a little bit of the thread from below the knot and loop it through the loop, effectively making a slip knot that goes around your finger. The next little bit of the Hidden Hand is this part right here, the actual Hidden Hand itself. It's a very small tab that runs along the line. On that tab, there's a small bit of adhesive. I don't know if you'll actually be able to see that on camera, but when you get your Hidden Hand, you'll have to peel. There's a little plastic film over top that covers up the adhesive there. The adhesive is exposed and it's very sticky. Now, one more thing about the adhesive, it is washable. If for some reason your hidden hand gimmick ever becomes unsticky, and it will, just through natural use, every day or two it'll start to get unsticky, all you have to do is wash it with soap and water. Just run it under some warm water with a little bit of soap and let it air dry, and it will get sticky again. The last part of the hidden hand gimmick, and arguably the most important part, is the thread itself. I told you that this was an invisible thread, and that should be immediately apparent. The second you see this thing, you should realize this is not your traditional magician's invisible thread, far from it. It's a lot more like a fishing line or a rubber band, or some weird combination of the two. It's very thin, so it's hard to see. It's very clear, so it's even harder to see, and there's not very much of it, so it's even harder to see. As well, because it stretches, it gets thinner and clearer and even harder to see, but you can still see it. That is, until it gets stretched against your arm, where it gets very, very difficult to see. That's the basic breakdown of the hidden hand. Now, to install it is very, very simple. This gimmick is about 8, maybe 9 inches long, so I'm going to pin it about 8 or 9 inches up my sleeve. I hope you can see this, but we're going to pin it on the inside of the sleeve, not the outside, about 8 or 9 inches up. You just want the loop to hang out of the sleeve. The button you can let run freely along the thread for the time being, but when it comes time to use, and I've actually got one installed that I'll show you here, as you can see, the loop goes around my finger, up my arm, all the way to the tab, which is stuck on my arm. Normally, that would be hidden by my sleeve. That allows you to better manage the thread. So when I let it go, I can pull my sleeve up, and it pulls that thread right to the eyelet of the tab, making it incredibly easy and practical to pull out and gain control of, and to clean up. Just by pulling up your sleeve, thread gets drawn in. Now that we got the hidden hand installed, let's take a look at some of the fun things you can do with it. All right, guys, this is the part of the DVD that you really want to learn. This is how to actually use the gimmick. This is very, very simple. We're going to start with the vanish that everybody wants to learn first, and that's the basic one-handed vanish. This is one of my favorite vanishes to perform with this gimmick, simply because it looks so impossible. There's no opportunity for sleight of hand or gimmickry. It seems unbelievably clean, and it seems like it shouldn't be possible, but it is, and it's pretty cool. To start, what you want to do is grab your thread, grab the loop, and pull it up and hook it under your thumbnail, so it runs down the pad of your thumb on the inside of your hand, up your arm. This can be done with the sleeve up or the sleeve down. If you're doing it with the sleeves down, you would hook it on your thumb and then roll the sleeves back up. But in this situation, I've already got my sleeves rolled up, so I just reach down, pull the thread up, and hook it under my thumb. Now, to do the vanish, borrow a ring or an object, or use your own, and you need to get the ring linked onto the thread. Start by putting the ring on your first finger. Remember, the thread is running around the thumb. Nothing's attached to the ring yet. Bring the two fingers together, the thumb and the first finger, in an OK symbol. With your other thumb, you want to press down on the thread towards the, really close to the thumb, so that this finger can take over the loop. Now the loop is around the finger, and that locks the ring onto the thread. At this point, because the thread is so clear and so invisible, you can show your hands front and back. You really are clean, or at least it looks that way. To do the actual vanish, take the ring off your finger, and you'll notice it's on the thread. Give it a slight twist and pinch it between your thumb and first finger. You'll notice there's a little bit of thread here and a little bit of thread at the bottom. If you're worried about somebody seeing that, bring your second finger in and just cover that thread. This still looks very clean. Doesn't look as clean as this, but it still looks very clean and very fair. And it hides that thread if you're worried about somebody seeing it. To do the vanish, flip the thread or flip the ring flat between your first finger and thumb. The reason you do that is you don't want it twisted. You want it to be able to slide up and down the thread. You want to keep the back of your hand towards the audience. And when you want the ring to vanish or the object to vanish, I'm going to expose this for you. Just drop the ring. The thread will keep it on a track down your arm to your elbow. But remember, because the back of the arm is facing the audience, they can't see that. So it looks like the object vanishes. That's the basic one-hand vanish. To reproduce, as I mentioned earlier, all you need to do is turn your hand palm down. A trick on this, though, is when you turn your hand palm down, keep your thumb towards you, pointing towards yourself, palm down. Your initial reaction will be to be palm towards you, and if you drop the hand this way, you stand a much greater risk of flashing out the top. But if you keep your hand palm down, this keeps the vast majority of the back of the hand towards the audience, so they won't see the ring being transferred back to the fingertips. If you can master the one-hand vanish, you will have an infinite number of doors open for you. This vanish has stunned every magician that's seen it, and it still fools me when I watch it in the mirror. It's a good one to practice, so go practice, rehearse, and I can't wait to see what you guys do with it. All right, even though the one-hand vanish is my favorite, it's the one I use the most, and chances are it'll be the one that you use the most, there are times when it simply isn't appropriate. There are times when your angles might not be perfect, and you still want to use the hidden hand, and that's where this vanish comes in. This is the simple two-handed vanish, or the basic two-handed vanish. The benefit to this is your angles are dramatically improved, because any flash that an audience might see on the inside of the arm is hidden and shaded by the other arm. Let me show you what I mean. Just as before, you grab your loop and you hook it around your thumbnail, just like in the one-handed vanish. So it runs down the inside of the hand and the inside of the arm. Borrow a ring or introduce your own, and in the same manner as in the one-hand vanish, put it on your finger, pull down on the thread, and transfer the loop to the first finger, thus locking the ring on the thread. So we're in the same situation we just were with the one-hand vanish. The ring between the first fingers with the little half twist to lock it and the finger there. Now this is where the other hand comes in. Rather than turning flat, rather than pinching flat and allowing it to fall, I'm going to pinch it flat and allow it to fall as this hand comes up to take the ring. So it would look like this. You're here, show the ring, and you place it into your hand. And it's in that action that you let the ring go. So from an exposed angle, I'm here, and I let the ring go as I pretend to place it into the hand. Again, I show this hand completely empty, because it is, Then I reveal the vanish in this hand. Now again, because the hands mirror each other, this arm will hide the ring on the other arm from the bad view. This arm will certainly help shade the ring on this arm. And that's the benefit of the two-hand vanish, is the angles are dramatically improved. So if you're in a situation where you just can't pull off the one-hand vanish, this might be the one you want to take a look at. So you've learned how to make the ring or the object vanish with one hand. You've learned how to do a false transfer and cause the ring to vanish with two hands. Now I'd like to show you a third option that was shared with me by my good friend Eric Jones, and it's called the drop vanish. We will get into it in the exact same fashion as the other two vanishes. You're going to pull the loop out and hook it under your thumbnail, so it runs down the pad of your hand inside of the arm. We've done this a few times, so you know what to expect. Just as before, take the ring or borrow a ring onto the first finger, transfer, locking the ring onto the thread, and here's where things get cool. Again, pull the thread, half twist, pinch, and now what you're going to do is you're going to show, and you're going to bring the hand down and show this way as well. Bring this hand up as if to catch the ring, because what it's going to look like is that you toss the ring into the other hand where it vanishes. Remember, because the ring is on the thread, it's not going to make it to the other hand. It's going to travel up my arm to the elbow. So watch closely. From here, got the half twist in, I'm going to pretend to drop the ring. You'll notice the ring doesn't actually fall, but this hand will come down and pretend to catch the ring. The ring will continue to travel all the way up to the elbow. I show this hand empty, and that's all it takes. If they see this hand empty, they have nothing else to believe but the ring is in this hand. Now, while all attention is on this hand, I allow the gimmick hand to drop to my side, allowing the ring to fall back to my fingertips before it's even vanished. So now I've got the ring under control again. All attention is on this hand where the ring vanishes. They've already seen this hand empty, so now I can show it empty again with a little Ramsey subtlety. I don't have to nail it home. The ring is really, really vanished. I strongly recommend you try this out. It is an incredibly deceptive interpretation of the original two-handed vanish, and it wouldn't be in existence if it wasn't for my man Eric Jones. So Eric, thank you so much. This is a killer vanish, and I really recommend you all try it and learn it. It will become one of your favorites. Now, the tab serves more than one function. It isn't there just for thread management. It can also be used as a gimmick to allow you to vanish other small objects. In this situation, I've already got the thread running from my finger to my sleeve, and the tab is under my sleeve. To prepare, all I do is adjust my sleeve and roll it up, and with my thumb, I'll just flick the tab off of my arm. That will allow the tab to travel freely up to my hand as I drop my arm and place the tab in my hand, sticky side out. You can then borrow any object, a coin, a key, a bill, a billet, a sugar packet, an alcohol pad, whatever you like. And by taking the tab, you can stick it onto the back of the object you'd like to vanish. There's a couple of ways you can do this. You can do it by catching it with your thumb and pressing it onto the back as you grab. Or, because the tension of the thread will hold the tab against your finger, you can also just come down and press down with your finger to get the object stuck to the tab. You do want to try to get the tab as centered as possible when you stick it to the object, though. That will help with the balance during the vanish. And just like with the ring, when you let go, the object will slide down your arm to your elbow, allowing you to vanish it. Reproduction is also the same. Tilt your hand down, and the coin will fall down to your fingertips. A couple of things I do want to touch on when you are vanishing something other than a ring, when you do want to use the tab for vanishing other objects, is the size and the weight of the object. First things first, the size of the object needs to be something palmable, something that you can fit in your hand. That's because anything you can fit in your hand, you can generally hide behind your arm. The only thing I want to point out here is your wrist is the narrow part. This is the choke point, as it were. You can hide objects much larger in your hand and behind your forearm than you can behind your wrist. So as a rule of thumb, I would try to use something no bigger than a silver dollar. Anything bigger, you might flash at your wrist. As well, speaking of silver dollars, that's about as heavy as I would use for this. This thread is incredibly strong and it's not going to break. It's used for jewelry, so it is designed to take a lot of punishment. It's very, very strong. However, it is stretchy, it is flexible, and if the object is too heavy, it can pull the thread down. So I would try to keep the size and the weight to that of a silver dollar or smaller. Now, after you've vanished the object, it's here at your wrist. Let's say you want to reproduce it, so you tilt your hand down and have the object come back to your fingertips. Now you want to clean up. This is really, really simple, and I hope you can see this. Just a little bit of pressure will cause the gimmick to dislodge from the coin and begin to slide back down your arm, all the way up to your sleeve. This is now clean. This can be loaded or handed out for examination wherever you want to reproduce it from, or whatever you're going to do with the object, and the gimmick will slide all the way down your arm. And just as before, when I wanted to obtain the gimmick, under the guise of adjusting my sleeve, I can turn the gimmick around, stick it back to my arm, and let go, and it's right back into thread management mode. Alright guys, let me show you an interesting trick. It's a fun trick, it's a cute trick, but it's definitely a good trick. And it uses nothing more than a signed coin and a sugar packet. Let's start with the coin. Watch closely. The coin goes into the hand. It looks like it vanished. It obviously didn't go up my sleeves. There's only one place it could have gone. Inside the sugar packet. All right, now let's break down the coin and sugar packet and show you exactly how this works. By now you should have a pretty good understanding and a pretty good idea of what's going on, but here it is for completion's sake. Just as before, you want the gimmick, the hidden hand gimmick, to be down at your fingertip. It's already around your finger and you just let the gimmick slide to your finger. You have a coin borrowed and signed, and you make sure there's a sugar packet within reach, on the table or somewhere within reach. Once the coin has been signed, bring your other hand comes up, and just as in the other vanishes, sticks the gimmick onto the back of the coin. And I say the back of the coin because you want the autograph, you want the signature to be very, very visible. You don't want to hide the signature. From here, we're just going to do the two-handed vanish. So again, I show the coin, they can see the signature, and now we're going to do the basic two-handed vanish. The coin goes into the hand, apparently. It actually slides down to the elbow over here. I show this hand empty, and as before, I draw all attention to this hand. Make a slow tossing motion towards the sugar packet as if you're causing the coin to travel to the sugar packet. Now you show both hands. Now, in the demo, I did something that you haven't seen yet, and that's something called the sleeves up recovery. Remember, the coin is on your arm here. I show the hands empty and I point out that it couldn't have gone up my sleeves. And as I do that, I come over and I adjust this sleeve. That keeps the coin against my body and completely hidden from all angles. Now, my hand is facing the left and I'm not going to move. I'm just going to point it down as I grab this sleeve and adjust it. And it's during that action that I let the coin fall. So one more time, after the vanish, the coin is gone. Turn this way and adjust the sleeve and show the inside of your arm. It's very important. Come here and start to adjust the sleeve, allowing the coin to fall back to the fingers. And it's at this point that I'll also, the second it hits the fingers, I'll pull it off the gimmick. From here, you can also turn and open up this way to show the inside of this arm if you want. I don't always do it, I don't find it necessary, but you can if you like. Now that you've got the coin in finger palm again, it's back under your control and it's in finger palm, you can let the gimmick slide back to your elbow. I'm not really worried about anchoring it back in place at this point. I just want it out of the way. I will, with my right hand, however, reach forward and grab the sugar packet. I do this because the right hand is completely empty, it's completely clean. The left hand is still hooked up and it still has the coin in it. Reach down with the right hand, pick up the sugar packet and begin to shake. You know, they'll hear the sugar hitting your finger and you can say, it sounds like there's something in there. The hands come together and I'm just holding the coin in place with my thumb against my fingers. And I'm going to transfer the sugar packet into my left hand. At the same time, I'm going to push the coin out behind. So from the front, that's what it looks like. From the back, what's happening is this hand is coming in, and the second it hits the fingertips, this thumb just pushes the quarter over and behind and continues to shake. Now you transfer the coin back to the right hand and slide it down to the bottom over top of the sugar, and I hold that in place with my left thumb. Tear the top of the sugar packet off, open it, and this is the hardest part of the routine, and it's actually pretty darn easy. You start by turning the sugar over and slowly dumping some of it out from about 4, maybe 5 inches above your hand. Once you poured out some of the sugar, you're going to turn the whole thing over and let the coin fall out. You're just going to let the coin drop from behind the sugar packet. So pour, 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 and once you've turned it completely upside down, you let the coin fall with the remaining sugar. Put the sugar packet onto the table, dump the coin and the sugar to the table, and you can sift through it if you want, or you can allow them to sift through it to find their signed coin covered in sugar, apparently coming from inside the sugar packet. Now during all of this, during the sugar on the coin, and while they're examining this, you have all the time in the world to let the gimmick go. Coin and sugar packet, guys. This is an excellent trick to do at a restaurant. It's perfect for table hopping because there really is no setup. If you have your hidden hand gimmick on you, you can walk up to a table that's got sugar on it, borrow a coin, and cause it to vanish and appear inside of a sugar packet on their table. You don't have to touch it. You don't have to come anywhere near it. It's pretty powerful, seemingly impromptu close-up magic. Perfect for restaurant work. Try it out. I'd like to show you guys something very interesting using a quarter. The thing that's interesting about quarters is they're made up of very soft metals. Nickel, copper, and steel. And if you rub, you can actually cause the metals to warm up. And that makes the quarter get very soft and malleable. It gets so soft that you can squeeze the quarter and cause it to bend. Hang on. Warm it up a little bit more and you can squeeze the coin. I apologize, guys. This might actually take two hands. There we go. As you begin to twist, you can cause that quarter to begin to warp. The hidden hand is an incredibly useful utility for vanishes and productions, but it's also very useful for switches, and that's exactly how we accomplished the coin bend. To start, you're going to need to get a coin that's bent. How you choose to bend your coin is entirely up to you. Use your favorite method. My favorite method happens to be the Ben's bender, but more on this another time. Ultimately, all you need is a bent coin, and you're ready to go. Start by getting into position. So you've got the thread around your finger running up to your elbow. The tab is locked on your arm under your sleeve. The bent coin starts finger palmed in your other hand. The hidden hand is set up on my left hand, so I'm going to finger palm the bent coin in my right. At this point, I'm ready to perform, and I'll ask to borrow a quarter. As somebody's looking to fish out a quarter, that's when I disengage the tab and let it slide down to my hand. Once they've handed me a quarter, I'll take it with my right hand, flip it around a couple of times, and talk about soft metals or what I'm about to do. What happens now is I place the tab onto the quarter and squeeze it firmly. From the back, that's what you'll see. You'll see the tab is stuck very firmly to the coin. But from the front, there's nothing to see. I then hold the coin in sort of a spellbound position and I pretend to squeeze. Rub a little bit, try to make the coin warm, make it soft and malleable. And then I pretend like I'm trying to squeeze the coin with everything I've got. That kind of sells the idea that you're trying to bend the coin without having to say so. If I rub it, make it soft and malleable enough, if I squeeze hard enough, you can cause the coin to... And they'll sort of fill in the sentence. Bend? It's at this point, though, after doing it 2 or 3 times that it doesn't bend, that I apologize. And this is a kind of a way to diffuse the situation and allow you to switch coins right in front of them. So, it's not bending, it's not bending. Oh, sorry guys, I might need 2 hands. And it's during that action that you come down and you're going to let the coin go. So from here, it's like, sorry guys, I might need 2 hands. That action relaxes and I let the coin go up my arm. This hand with the bent coin simply comes up and places the bent coin at fingertips. So I might need 2 hands and I begin to really pretend to work like I'm working on bending this coin. And then I do something called an optical bend. Now, I want you to see the way the bent coin is held in my hand. The bend is, the point of the bend is facing you. I can cover the bend by pressing my two fingers together, and that completely hides the coin. I grab the coin with my thumbs and I simply pull the coin into view. That's all you're doing, is separating your fingers so the coin comes into view. But it reveals the bend, and it really looks like the coin is bending as you do that. So from here, and it looks like it begins to bend. Once the coin's been bent, I show my left hand, the hidden hand, as empty. I show this hand as empty and hand the coin back. Again, I'll show my hands completely empty. All attention will be on the bent coin. So I have ample opportunity and all the time in the world to tilt this hand and let the coin fall back to the fingertips, where it can be stolen and ditched in my pocket or servant or wherever I feel like ditching it. Alright guys, this is it. This is the effect that I developed the hidden hand for. This is my favorite application, and I very well think it might become one of yours. The ring to anywhere, raw. It got the name raw because it really is a ring to anywhere. Once you make the ring vanish, you can cause it to reappear wherever you like. I'm going to show you two locations. The first one is the one you just saw, which is to the keychain, a fairly standard ring flight location. To do this, you're going to need your hidden hand, and you're going to need a special set of keys. This is very easy to make, so you'll be able to do this yourself in about 30 seconds. Now let me show you exactly what it is. The first thing is the key ring itself has been cut, so there's only about an inch overlapping. The keychain has also been pried open slightly. One other thing I want you to see is there's a hook on one side of the keyring. This will be very difficult to see, but hopefully you will see that the end of that keychain hooks up just slightly. That helps facilitate the load. The last part of the keychain that you need to obtain is this part here, and this is just a block from a keychain tear. There's another half that clicks in, and we're going to use this little block as a lock. It slides over the opening on the keychain, and once it gets to that hook part, once it goes over, it will lock the keychain closed. So it's not held open anymore, and you don't have to worry about your keys falling off. Let me show you very quickly how to build one. As I said, assembly couldn't be any simpler. Go get a key ring, and you'll notice that it loops all the way around. That's why there's two levels of keyring all the way around, because the wire goes almost 3 times around. What you want to do is grip one end of the keychain with the pliers. It's a little bit tricky. Slide the pliers just through a little bit until you're gripping the keychain opposite the opening. Lastly, begin to bend that end of the keychain. If you bend it back and forth a couple of times, it will break. Now you'll naturally see where the keychain broke. It starts to make a little hook. That's exactly what you want. And you'll now also notice the keychain only opens for for about half of its length. That's perfect. The last thing you need to do is pry this keychain open a little bit. You can use your pliers again if you like. You might have to go in and twist a little bit more, but eventually the keychain will bend and it will stay open. Now that you've got your keychain made, the last thing you need is the lock. This little piece here is very easy to find. It's 1/2 of a quick release keychain. You'll notice there's a hole in the other end for the other end of the quick release keychain, and 1/2 to be threaded on. It's this half that we're going to use, and we're going to use it as a lock. So we start by threading it onto the keychain, all the way, and then back over, so it goes over both parts, both ends of the keychain. We're going to slide it all the way through until the hook on the keychain is locked inside. That helps keep the keychain closed, so your keys won't fall off until you need to. It keeps that hook out of the way so it doesn't catch onto your clothes. Keeps everything nice and tight. But that's it. Once you've built this, you can go ahead and put your keys on it and use it like your everyday keychain. And yet you can perform an amazing ring flight instantly. All right, now that you've made your gimmick and you've gone and put your keys on it, you're ready to perform. To start, take the lock and slide it over, exposing the hook on your keychain. With the hook towards your body, take the keys, hook side up, and place them in your pocket. Now, I like to leave the top of the keychain hanging out just a little bit. This makes loading the ring later on in the routine exponentially easier. If the opening is already exposed and the hook is towards your body. You'll see why in a moment. So, before you perform, you've got your keys there. Start by attaining the loop of your hidden hand around your thumb, so it runs down the inside of your arm, just as before. So borrow a ring or introduce your own, put it on your first finger, make the OK sign, and press down on the thread with the other hand, transferring the loop to the first finger, and thus locking the ring on the thread. So now perform the basic one-hand vanish as described earlier. Take the ring, blow, cause it to vanish. As expected, it's simply on the inside of my arm at my elbow. It goes from here to there. Now when it comes time to reproduce, you've shown your hand empty, turn your body to the side, because I really want to just expose the side that's got the keychain in it. I don't want to be face on to the audience. I'm going to turn so that my hips are towards them. And I'll look down and I draw attention to the keychain. Turning sideways serves a couple of purposes. Number one, it helps draw attention to the keychain because you're sort of sticking your hip out saying, look there. Number two, it hides the ring's recovery. As my hand comes down, the ring falls right to my fingertips. I can pinch it with my thumb and disengage to let the gimmick go. Now the ring is free of the gimmick, and I just have to get it onto the keychain. It's a simple matter of sliding it, just sliding it under the hook. Now you'll notice, as I pull up, the friction of the ring against my body pulls it all the way on to the keychain. Bring it up. Let the audience see. It really is, the ring really is on the keychain. Now, simply remove it from the keychain. However, as you're taking the ring off, I do recommend you feign a little bit of difficulty because there is only a ½ inch or an inch of overlap there, so you don't want to take it off as quickly as you can put it on. So just sort of feign a little bit of difficulty getting it off, and once you've got it there, 1, 2, then slide it off. If you've borrowed the ring, hand it back to the spectator, or if it's your own, put it back on your finger, and the keys can go right into your pocket for the next performance. After you're done and you've walked away from the table, I do recommend grabbing your keys and sliding the lock over the hook again, and then putting them back in your pocket, just so the hook doesn't catch on your clothes. Alright guys, well, now it's time to get into what could be my ultimate favorite ring flight effect. Raw ring to anywhere to a necklace. Ring to necklace, I've had a love affair with this effect since I was about 14 years old. The first time I saw a ring flight was David Copperfield doing the ring to baby shoe. I was astounded by it. It was one of the coolest things I'd ever seen. And since then, I've had a love affair with making rings vanish and reappear in other places. Anybody who's familiar with my work will realize the necklace is certainly one of my favorite locations to reproduce a ring. I started with Flight 204 in 1999, 2000, and around there. A few years later, I released a new handling called Northbound. Same effect, it was a ring that vanished and appeared on your necklace using a totally different method. This is yet another method. This is quite possibly my favorite. The vanish is incredibly striking, the reproduction is very similar to what I taught in Northbound, and the effect is incredibly powerful to a lay audience. So let's get into it. The first thing you're going to need is a necklace. Any necklace will do. However, I do recommend getting a necklace that you can easily undo. This is just a simple beaded necklace, nothing fancy, but you just have to be able to undo the necklace quickly and easily, whether it's with a clasp or a magnetic clasp or something like this, as long as you can open the necklace quickly and easily. You don't want to be back there fumbling if you don't have to. The other thing is the necklace has to be long enough to stay under your collar. This is important. The middle of the necklace has to be hidden by your collar. If it isn't, they're going to see that there's no ring on the necklace long before the production. To perform, put the necklace on, but do not clasp it shut. With my necklace, and I'll show you what I'm doing, is I'm just hooking the necklace on. I'm not actually clasping it, I'm just resting it on. I won't walk around with my necklace undone, I'll just undo it right before I perform. Now you get your hidden hand gimmick onto your thumb, running on the inside of the pad, down the inside of the arm. We've tread this territory a few times. You should know this very well. Borrow a ring or use your own and have a sticker signed and put a sticker on your ring just so they know there's no duplicates. Place the ring on the first finger, make the OK sign, press down to lock the ring onto the thread. Perform the basic one-hand vanish or whatever vanish you like and cause the ring to disappear. At this point, I'll say, hold on a second, and I'll make a finger with the dirty hand. I'll just sort of make that, hey, hold on 1 second. And now two things happen at once. This hand is going to drop as this hand comes up and taps on the collar. It's a simple thing, so watch, this hand comes down and this hand comes up to draw attention to the necklace. While this hand drops, of course, the ring is going to fall to fingertips. Hold the ring and disengage the hidden hand gimmick. So now the ring is just sitting in your finger palm. You've been touching the collar with this hand. Now both hands come up and go behind your neck. I just pinch the ring between my fingers and thumb. I'm not necessarily going to finger palm it, I'm just going to hold it like that. Hands go behind the head. Make sure you keep the backs of the hands to the audience. If you go back with the palms of the hand towards the audience, they're going to see the ring. So make sure the back of the hands are towards the audience. As soon as your hands come behind your head, it's a very easy matter of getting the ring loaded onto the necklace. 3 simple steps. 1 is to separate the necklace. Number 2 is to thread the ring onto the necklace. And number 3 is to hold that ring in place with your fingers before coming out. Come all the way forward and remember guys, it's not 2 separate actions. It's not pull out then straighten. It is one fluid action, but it goes from slack to taut. Like that. So it comes out slack and immediately gets taut, so the ring spins around the middle. It's a very pretty display. At this point, you can very fairly let the ring come off the necklace, or you can hand the necklace with the ring on it to a spectator. Just give them the ring and the necklace all together. It's entirely up to you. In any event, take the necklace, put it back on, hand the ring back to the owner or put it back on your finger, and that's it. You're reset. You're ready to go again. One last thing, and this is what makes Raw so special to me, is the reproduction. As I mentioned just a moment ago, most ring flights, the reproduction, the timing of it, everything is tied to the location. The reel is built into the keychain or into the car key or yada yada yada. So when the ring vanishes, it immediately appears. With Raw, you have more control. You can cause the ring to vanish and reappear at your leisure. It doesn't have to be right there. You can vanish the ring and reproduce it much later on. You can vanish the ring and reproduce it instantly. But most importantly, it's ring to anywhere. You can reproduce the ring from anywhere. It doesn't have to be from your keychain. You can reproduce it from your pocket. You can reproduce it in a ring box or on a rose. There's no shortage of places or ways to reproduce the ring. Ring to anywhere is really limited only by your own imagination. Okay guys, if you learn nothing else from this DVD, you need to learn this, the last word vanish. It's such a fantastic vanish because it can be used with any coin. You can borrow a coin and immediately cause it to vanish. Or you could use it as the final coin in a 3-fly or as a coin in a hanging coin routine. This vanish adds a lot of possibilities to your existing routines. So enough hype, let's jump into it. To start, get your thread on your finger. Ask to borrow a coin, and it's during this action that I'll just pull the loop out and put it on my finger. I will also disengage the tab and let it fall to my hand. When I get the quarter from the spectator, all I'm going to do is stick it to the quarter. Just bring my hand over and press it against the quarter. Again, you want to get the button as centered as possible. Once the button is stuck to the coin, you can turn the hand palm up and show the quarter or the coin. Everything is very, very fair. To cause the coin to vanish, tilt your hand up just slightly and let go of the coin. As you do, close your hand into a fist and tilt down at the wrist. Rub a little bit as if you were trying to cause the coin to melt away, and turn the hand over and open up. It's important you turn the hand over and open up, because if you leave it open like this, there's a chance that they will see the thread. But if you turn the hand over, your hand acts as shade and covers that thread. Again, you can show the hand front and back. And this is perfect for the final coin in a 3-fly. Imagine going dink, clink, and having that third coin appear. Really solid. If you wanted to reproduce the coin, however, from here your hand is palm out. Bring your hand down to about your waist. Close the fingers and tilt down at the wrist. That will allow the coin to slide from the elbow right to your fingertips, where you can pinch it with the thumb and push it into view to produce. Also, I should point out, when I'm producing it, if you push on one end, just one side of the button, it should pop up on the other side. I hope you can see that. That'll effectively disengage the button from the coin and immediately send it flying back and into your hand. Now the coin is clean. This can be dropped into this hand, tossed, and handed back out to the spectator for examination. As you're handing it out, simply let the button fall back to your elbow. Once it's there, you can just let it stick to your skin, under your sleeve, and disengage the gimmick. You're clean, ready to do the vanish again. The coin in pen cap. This has been one of my favorite effects for a long time, ever since I learned it from David Williamson many years ago. I use the coin in pen cap routine a lot. As soon as I showed the hidden hand to Eric Jones, this was one of the first routines he developed. He installed his hidden hand, and within 10 minutes he was doing this version of coin and cap, and it's really strong. It's a very good effect, a very easy effect, and it seems very impromptu. All you need is a pen, a coin, and of course your hidden hand. To perform, start by getting your hidden hand onto your finger. This can be done ahead of time. This is nothing new. Ask to borrow a coin. As they're fishing for the coin, that's perfect cover to get the loop around your finger. As well, dislodge the tab and let it slide down to your hand. When you get the coin, just as before, stick the tab to the back of the coin. And as always, try to get the tab as close to the middle of the coin as possible. the more centered the tab is, the more balanced and the smoother the coin will slide down the hidden hand gimmick. Once the coin is on the tab, you can show it and display it. Then remove the cap from your Sharpie. I'll oftentimes just hold the Sharpie in my mouth, but because I have to talk, I'm going to put it behind my ear. Now this is very, very simple. Show the coin, show the cap. Make sure your hands are empty and they can see everything is fair. What we're going to do is you're going to tap the coin 3 times on the cap, and on the 3rd time it's going to look like it melts inside. What's actually happening is you tap once, twice. On the 3rd tap, you're simply going to let the coin go and slide down to your elbow as you pretend to toss it in. They'll see the coin vanish. You can immediately show the hand empty. Grab the pen cap from the bottom and the top and shake as if you hear something inside. Transfer the pen cap back to the other hand and look at the audience. Look inside and point to the inside of the pen cap. Bring the pen cap lower, maybe around your belt. This hand reaches forward and the coin slowly slides down the ring back to your fingertips, where you grab it and pretend to pull it straight up out of the cap. Now this is important. You don't want to twist your hand because they might see the thread. So you want to pull straight up, then turn. You can let the gimmick just fly off the coin. Take the cap, the coin, everything can be examined. I'll oftentimes just grab the pen, put the cap back on, and hand everything out to be examined. Another thing I want to touch on is the safety of the ring. Unlike virtually any ring flight out there that is based on a reel, the ring is never in any danger because it's not being pulled back to the location. Most ring flights that use a reel, the reel is intrinsically tied into the location. It's either built into the keychain or into the car key or what have you. And when the ring vanishes, it gets whipped around the body. And that's when ring flights fail. When you have a reel pulling the ring, it literally whips it around your body, and that's where the reel can break and rings can go sailing across the room. That doesn't happen with raw. The ring is never under any pressure and it's always under your control. It's simply going from your hand to your elbow. There's no whipping action, there's no pulling, there's no pressure. It's simply gravity. So the ring is completely safe, and that makes this a very special ring flight. Unlike traditional ring flights, where eventually it will happen. You will send a ring across a room. It's happened to everybody I know, including myself, that's used a traditional ring flight. That will never happen with this. You're never going to send your ring sailing across the room. It just can't happen because there's no pressure, there's no tension that the ring's under. So the ring is completely safe and completely under your control at all times. So you've already learned how to vanish objects with the hidden hand a bunch of different ways. And you've learned how to reproduce objects based on those vanishes. Now I'd like to show you how to simply produce an object. It starts very similar to a vanish, but this all happens before you perform. The thread goes onto your thumb, transfer the ring to the first finger, transfer the loop to the first finger, and now take the ring or the object and slide it down your arm and under your sleeve. You can put it over top, if you're into it, you can put it over top of the tab. I hope you can see that. And it'll hold it kind of like a little hook under your sleeve. That ring won't fall out so long as it's between the tab and your sleeve. When you want to produce the object, this should become second nature for you with the hidden hand. You're going to adjust your sleeve. Pull the thread so it's along your first finger, and under the guise of adjusting the sleeve, you're just going to let the ring come out from underneath. show your hand empty and reach forward towards the spectator and down. Keep your hand palm down and reach forward. Now I'm going to expose this for you so you can see what's happening. But as you're reaching forward, you're just going to tilt your hand slightly to pull the thread away from your wrist. That will allow the ring to fall down to your fingertips where it can be produced. It's still on the thread, so you can vanish it again or put it on your finger, or if you want to clean up, pull your first finger free of the loop. The thread will fire back up your arm as before. The ring can then be handed back to the spectator or placed back on your finger, with them being none the wiser. Now that's a very simple production, and Eric Jones showed me an excellent addition to this that he calls the Enigma production. It starts in much the same manner. You're going to get the thread around the first finger so that the ring is locked on the thread. Just as in the original production, we're going to slip it under the sleeve and around the tab so it can't come out. When you're ready to perform, adjust the sleeve so the ring comes out from under the sleeve. Show your hand empty. Now you're going to turn your attention to your other hand. You're going to show this hand empty. And it's while all attention is on this hand, the gimmick hand is just going to fall down and allow the ring to fall to its fingertips. I now grip that ring and disengage. So the gimmick flies back up my sleeve and I've got the ring held in finger palm. This hand reaches out as if to grab an imaginary ring, and it's going to place it into this hand. Now this hand comes palm up, but it keeps the ring in Ramsey subtlety. The fingers come in, and what happens is the first finger and thumb, which are pinching an invisible ring, get laid down in front of the ring that's in Ramsey subtlety as the hand opens up flat, and it pushes it back onto the hand. From the spectator's view, they can't see that. It's brilliant. You grab the invisible ring, the hand comes down in front and pushes it back so they can see an empty hand. Close this hand up and remove the right hand as if you just placed the invisible ring into your left hand. Blow, and reveal the production. It is a beautiful addition to a very simple production that takes it from here to way up there. That little addition, being able to show the hand before the object gets produced, is such a beautiful bit. I strongly recommend you take a look at it and you study it, and if you like it, take a look at some of Eric's other work. This man's a genius, and this is just one example of how smart he really is. You might still have a few little issues and a few little concerns, and that's what this section is all about, to help you fine-tune the hidden hand and get past the few issues that you may be having. Let's start with the biggest one that most people are concerned with when they first start working with the hidden hand, and that's angles. The angles on the hidden hand are not as bad as you might think. Even though it feels like the entire inside of the arm is exposed to anybody on that side, it's simply not true. However, if you are concerned about the angles, the first thing you can do is bring your hands closer to you. The closer your hands are to the chest, the smaller a window there is for anybody to see. So rather than do it with your hands away from you, rather than try to do the vanish out here, bring everything back and closer to your chest. That will improve your angles tremendously. The second way you can improve your angles is by taking a step back from your audience. Rather than perform with them 1.5 feet in front of you, if you take a small step back, maybe a foot, that will also improve your angles tremendously because you're giving them a smaller field of vision. They can't see over or under your arm. They can really only see directly at you. However, even though you're a little bit further away, it still feels intimate. So you don't have to worry about taking huge steps back to get away from the spectator. Just give yourself a little breathing room. That will narrow their field of vision and improve your angles. As well, when you take a step back, I should expand on what this does. I say it narrows the field of view, and what that means is if you take a step back like that, the spectator it's a wider field, so for them to focus on the ring, they have to look at a smaller point. It doesn't just work vertically though, it also works on the sides. If you take a step back, your angles go from 180 or 160 to something smaller in around 90 to 100, and that's a much easier angle to deal with. Another thing that really helps angles, and I touched on this earlier, but I didn't mention it for angles, is using 2 hands for the vanish. Doing the vanish one-handed looks really cool, but even if you bring your arms close to your chest, if you're performing surrounded, you might be a little iffy about whether or not it will be exposed. But by bringing the second hand up and either using it as a false transfer or using both hands in the gesture of the vanish, this arm perfectly shades this arm. Our bodies are symmetrical, so wherever these arms go, they're parallel, they're in line. So this arm will hide everything against this arm. So if you combine using 2 hands, taking a step back to narrow their field of view, and bringing your arms closer to your chest while you're doing the routines, the angles become a non-issue. The hidden hand, as easy as it is to use, doesn't replace sleight of hand, rather it amplifies it. One of the best ways to get the most out of your hidden hand gimmick is by the addition of misdirection, specifically the works of Slidini and Juan Tamariz. Juan Tamariz has a concept called crossing the gaze, which is a very disarming principle. Slidini also has a concept called the moment of maximum misdirection. I strongly urge you look into the works of these 2 fine gentlemen because those 2 concepts are at play in a lot of the routines that you've learned here tonight. As an example of Juan Tamariz's crossing the gaze principle, I use something that I've called the sleeves up transfer. It's a very simple, subtle way to regain control of an item that's been vanished and that's hanging at your elbow. It is effectively it uses Juan Tamariz's crossing the gaze concept. Here's how it works. The ring or the coin or the object that you vanished is up here at your elbow. The sleeves are up, and I turn to the other hand and I say it couldn't have gone up my sleeves, and I just sort of tug on my sleeve. Now my attention turns to the other arm and it falls down. And as it falls down, the coin will automatically fall to the hands. But I do this as I'm rolling up this sleeve, and all attention is on the sleeve. So up to speed, it looks like this. The coin is gone, couldn't have gone up this sleeve, it couldn't have gone up this sleeve, and it's in that action I've regained control of the object that I've vanished. It's very easy and it's very disarming. I strongly recommend you learn and practice this. It will serve you very well. A couple more things to keep in mind when you're using your hidden hand is the thread itself. When in play, you want to make sure the thread is at full tension. You want this to be as taut as possible. If the thread has any slack in it, it will function far more like a rubber band and things won't slide smoothly on it. So the thread has to be at full tension to function properly. If your gimmick is too long, You can either cut it and retie it at the safety pin end, or just wrap the thread around the pin a few times to shorten it up. You can also move the pin further up your sleeve, but I prefer to wrap the thread around the pin to increase the tension to make sure everything moves smoothly. Another thing you want to keep in mind when you're using the hidden hand gimmick with the thread is to keep the thread centered down your arm. If the thread is off to one side or another, it's going to flash. You want to make sure the thread runs from your finger, splits your palm, and runs right up the middle of your arm. If for some reason your gimmick is off to the side like this, you can adjust simply by rotating your sleeve to center that thread. So you want to try to keep the thread as close to your body as possible and minimize how far off the thread has to come to allow the object to slide down. With practice, you'll be able to get it to slide within just a quarter of an inch or a fraction of an inch. You won't have to really bend your wrist to get the object. Keep those three things in mind: the thread tension, thread position, and the thread tautness. If you're cognizant of all three things, the hidden hand will serve you very, very well. Well, since we're on the subject of thread management and usage and making sure everything is functioning as it should, now seems like a really good time to talk about flashing. If you're unsure what flashing is, it's when something you don't want to be seen by the audience pokes out and is seen. It might be the coin as it travels down your arm, or it could be just a glint of light off the thread. All of these things would be considered flashes. However, flashing is not something that will happen often, but it can happen. It's easily preventable. You just have to know how you might flash before you perform the routine. As I mentioned, the thread tension will affect the reflectiveness of the thread. The more slack the thread is, the more reflective it will be. The tighter the thread is, the less reflective it gets. There's less of it, and it gets stretched tighter and thinner. So that will help on flashing the thread, is making sure you keep it at full tension. As far as flashing the object goes, well, this is a little bit different. There's only a couple of places where you will flash in this routine, so let's talk about those now. The big one is at the wrist. This is the narrowest part of your arm. Your hand is big enough to hide most objects, and so is your forearm. But your wrist is a little bit narrow. As you can see, even the tab is about 25% of my wrist, so I can't do anything a whole lot bigger than a silver dollar. To keep flashing to a minimum, again, you want the thread to stay as close to your body as possible. The closer the thread is to your body, the closer you can keep it to your body while you're letting the object vanish, the less chance there is that you will flash the object. The slingshot recovery. This is something I'm quite fond of, something I'm quite proud of. When I first came up with the hidden hand, one of the biggest issues that I'd run into was recovering the object. That's when I developed the sleeves up handling, and I was very, very happy with how well that worked out as opposed to just dropping my hand. But I wanted some way to get control of the object in a much quicker, much faster, much more efficient way, rather than having to do anything. I just sort of wanted the object to be back in my hand. I didn't want to have to wait for gravity to take it. The slingshot recovery is perfect. I'm very fond of saying the hidden hand is an irreducibly complex gimmick, and this is a prime example. Without adding anything to the gimmick, we can just use the properties of the gimmick itself to allow us to fire the coin back into or the coin of the ring back into our hands. Let me show you what I mean. Assuming you've done a vanish and the ring is down here at the elbow or on your arm, and you want to send it back to your hand. Basically, what you're going to do is slightly tilt your hand down. You're not going to point it down, just slightly down, and you're going to pull the ring back and let it go like a slingshot. It'll fire back into your hand, and it does so very rapidly. That rapidity makes it very difficult to see. To do it properly, you're not actually going to pull it back and shoot it. In performance, it looks like this. You pull this sleeve up, the thumb catches the ring and pushes back as you're adjusting this sleeve, and just lets go. And the coin or ring should fly back to your hand. You do have to be careful when you're doing this, though, that you want to pull back straight, thread over thread. If you pull back and you're off to one side or another, you're going to get a lot of up and down bounce. So you want to make sure your thumb catches that ring, pulls it straight back over the thread, and lets it go. So one more time. The ring's at the arm. You adjust this sleeve. As you go to adjust this sleeve, the thumb catches the ring and pulls it back as you're adjusting the sleeve. Whenever you want, let it go. The ring fires back to your hand and you can immediately open up to show both arms. You don't have to be so closed in anymore. You now have control of the object, the ring, the coin, whatever it is you vanished can be recovered in this fashion. It will take a little bit of practice, but I'm promising you it is completely worth it, and the slingshot recovery is a lot of fun to do. Give it a try, practice it, I think you'll use it a lot. As I've said throughout this project, the hidden hand is irreducibly complex, meaning you can't take any individual piece away without affecting the gimmick. Every piece on the gimmick serves a purpose. But we have kept it as simple as possible for a few reasons. We've kept it simple to keep it easy to use and easy to understand, and very universal. That doesn't mean, however, there are not other modifications that you can make to your hidden hand at home to make it even better. One of the first things that I thought of when I started working with the hidden hand was the idea of a sleeve servant. If you're unfamiliar with what a servant is, it's essentially a hidden pocket. This is a belly servant, and this is a little bit big for use in a sleeve, but it'll give you an idea of how this would work, or how this does work. The servant goes up your sleeve, and the thread runs over the servant. What that will do is anytime you vanish something, it will immediately go into the servant, or the pocket. As you can see, it just falls right inside the pocket, which means you can immediately open up and show your arms as being clean. Now, as I said, this is a belly servant. This is designed to go in your pants. For sleeves, I usually use the little wedge-shaped makeup sponges. 2 of those, spaced about 2 inches apart on your sleeve, is perfect. They hold the sleeve open just enough to take almost any object, any ring or any coin. They're big enough that it'll slide in, but they're small and soft enough that they will compress and not be as noticeable as something as big as a belly servant. So try that. If you can't find makeup sponges, even Kleenex or tissue can work. Anything that will just prop open the sleeve a little bit and allow passage of the item inside the sleeve. It's not necessary, and oftentimes I perform without it, but if you're concerned and you really want to be a little bit cleaner, the addition of a servant on your sleeve can go a long way. Another very interesting idea for the hidden hand is the addition of a magnet. If you go to Lee Valley or Radio Shack or any electronics store, you can get 1 millimeter thick, 1/2 inch diameter or 1/4 inch diameter neodymium magnets. They're very, very thin. They're almost the exact size of your hidden hand. If you go and pick one of those up, you can peel the adhesive off of your hidden hand, glue the magnet with super glue to the plastic tab, and then put the adhesive back on top of the magnet. This serves a couple of purposes. Number one, it makes the hidden hand also function very similar to a raven. It will pick up magnetic objects, magnetic coins or Canadian coins, keys, any steel cord item will be picked up. And because of the adhesive, it will stay there and will stick there very, very well. very interesting idea to give you a little bit more versatility with your hidden hand. To go along with the magnetic hand, you can also use something called a magnetic recovery device, and this is a really simple thing to make. While you're at Radio Shack or Lee Valley and you're grabbing the magnets, grab one more. Another thin magnet, maybe 1 millimeter thick, maybe 2, depending on the size, and no more than 1 inch in diameter. You'll also need a little bit of gaff tape or duct tape. Take that magnet and tape it to your ribs, elbow height, on the same side of your body that the hidden hand is installed. What this will do is allow you to recover the hand, to move the hidden hand from your elbow back to your hand laterally. The magnet in the hidden hand will be attached to the magnet under your shirt and allow you to move your hand while it stays in place, all the way back to your fingertip. So you won't have to drop your hand to recover. Just simply move your hand across your body to regain control of the object. Between the sleeve servant, the magnetic hand, and the magnetic recovery device, there are a few other ideas for you to play with that will give you even more versatility and practicality out of your hidden hand. They're all worth checking out and they're all worth exploring, which is why we've mentioned them here for you. Try them out, check them out, and I'd love to hear your success stories with all 3 of them. There's one other idea that I want to share with you, and this comes to me, of course, from the one and only Eric Jones. Eric had a very, very clever idea of attaching a thin piece of thread to the hidden hand before you thread it on to the thread. This second piece of thread would run up your sleeve to a safety pin here on one shoulder, a safety pin on the other shoulder, and then down to your other wrist where it would be attached. This is a fairly familiar setup to anybody who's familiar with a Fitch Kohler holdout or any of the more traditional holdout systems. What this will allow you to do is, by moving this hand, you can retract the hidden hand into your arm. You don't have to raise it up. Your hand can be down, and by extending this arm, the hidden hand will be pulled up to your elbow, and it can just as easily be allowed to drop. It makes it function a little bit more like a traditional holdout, and if that's something that inspires you or tickles your fancy, by all means try it out. I think it's a fantastic idea and absolutely worth exploring.
So up until this point, you've been working with Sean. He's shown you what you've gotten in your package. He's shown you how to assemble your hidden hand gimmick. He's also given you some tips and some tricks that he uses in the real world to make the hidden hand gimmick deceptive. What I'd like to do in this section is give you a couple of other applications, such as being able to show the hands completely empty to produce any small object like a finger ring. That's what we're going to cover in this section. So I want to give you a little bit of information before we get started. There are going to be a few different components to the way I'm going to teach you the vanishes productions and the more dynamic routines that we're going to get into today. I want you to think of both vertical and horizontal planes. There are going to be some vanishes that are going to require you to take your object that's into your hidden hand system, and when you hide it, if you're doing it vertically, meaning that your arm is up and down so the fingertips are pointing towards the ceiling, the elbow is down, these are going to be very limited access productions and vanishes. The reason being is because you've got a very narrow window of being able to display. Because if you turn, you'll notice the exact angle where you would be able to see the hidden object. Of course, the thinner you are, the less room you have to hide. So some vanishes may not be for you. If, of course, the bigger guys, this is when being a little hefty can come into play because you'll have a little bit more cover. But again, that's going to be the vertical. So you want to make sure that your audience, anytime you're in this situation, that your audience is pretty close together. I wouldn't do this for more than 2 or 3 people in a very condensed space. While you can do it in a situation like at a restaurant, you would want them either sitting, of course, facing each other. You wouldn't want them in a round table because the angles would be horrible for that. So a restaurant table, simply by taking a step back, would increase your angles so that you get a better situation. I also want to talk about the horizontal plane. You'll notice that if I was to leave the ring here, you'll notice the moment you can't see it anymore. Yeah? And by keeping the elbow up, it creates a 180-degree cover. So just by leaving it here, as long as it stays behind the forearm, and again, you want to keep the ring hidden from view. So gauge your spectator's height. So like if my ring is hidden here, I want it to, like if you were to draw an invisible line, like if you're pointing a laser pointer. If you want to imagine the ring or whatever the hidden object is going towards the eyes of your spectator, you want it in line so that that object doesn't flash. If it's too low, then it has no cover. You want to make sure that there's flesh between you and your spectator's eye. All right? Also, there's going to be a couple of different setups depending on what finger you wear the hidden hand gimmick on. There are going to be one-hand vanishes that use the index, the middle of the ring. There will be two-handed vanishes that use just the index finger. And we'll get into those in the next section. The first thing I want to do is show you the explanation to that small rock vanish where you place your hands in this diamond formation and you're able to produce the ring. The ring begins close to the crotch of your elbow, and this is going to be an index finger hookup. So just by keeping the arm close to the body, it'll keep the ring from being seen. Now you'll notice that I've got a slightly darker thread. This is so that you can actually see it a little bit more than you could with the clear one. So this just rests here, and if you keep the elbow tight, then you won't have to worry about flashing. Again, make sure that there's a little flesh between you. Let me get it a little bit lower, right about here. So just by turning the hand over, you'll be able to talk without any worry of flash. At an opportune moment, you show both hands empty, fingers spread, you place your thumb and your index fingers together and lift at the elbow. All right? Now what's going to happen is you place the fingers together, and as you turn the hands down to show that there's nothing on the back of the hands, with the sleeves rolled back, the ring simply slides along the forearm and into the hand. From that point, your thumbs will come down, grab the ring, stroke it as it's displayed, and then it goes onto the index finger. From the front, again, it's here. That way you can show the hands front and back. Show there's nothing between the fingers. Allow the thumb and the index fingers to touch, close the hand, lift the elbow, and then as you turn the hand down, the ring will follow, it's here now, will follow down to the fingertips. Your thumbs will come down, grab the ring, and stroke it as it's produced, which is a very pretty production that can be done 180 degrees. Hope you enjoy it. So one of the most magical things that you can do is take a small object, make it completely vanish, sleeves rolled up, no top it, no place for the spectator to figure out it could have gone. They can't see it's up your sleeves because you're not wearing them or because they're rolled up. With the hidden hand, you can do so much. And I wanted to come up with a series of vanishes that'll spark your creativity and hopefully encourage you to come up with some on your own. The first one I'd like to show you looks a little something like this. If you watch the ring, all I have to do is give it a rub and it vanishes. But it doesn't go far, it just jumps into the air and I'm able to get it back. So let's talk about how that worked. All that happens is I have an index finger set up, meaning that the hidden hand gimmick is running from the sleeve up the forearm and is attached by the loop to the index finger. I'm not using the button, the badge, at this point. All I have to do is take the ring off the finger and hold it between the index finger and thumb of the hand holding out your hidden hand gimmick. Now it's just literally being looped here. You don't see that from the front, because it's all covered. Now this is one of those vertical vanishes. So again, you want to make sure that you're only performing this for 2 or 3 people. From this point, what will happen is you'll lift the arm or bend the arm at the elbow so that the arm goes up. You slide the hidden object, or the object that's to be vanished, whether it's a ring or if you're using the badge and you have it attached to a coin or a small object. It goes into the hand, and then as the fist loosely closes, it simply slides down the forearm to the crotch of the elbow, where it will remain. As you tilt the wrist forward, it puts enough tension there to keep this object here. You can then turn the hand at the wrist, open the hand to show that the object is now gone. From the front, it should look something like this. So you have the ring here. All you have to do is close and show. You can turn the hand forwards and backwards to show that there's nothing there. And then whenever you're ready to reproduce, all you have to do is flatten your hand, keep the hand nice and straight, and then you tilt downward, creating cover. And you'll notice how the ring just slides down the hand towards the fingertips. You just place your thumb underneath, push the ring back up to the fingers, place the ring back onto the hand, and you're able to display. That's one of many vanishes we'll be able to cover using the hidden hand. I really hope you take a couple of minutes to dissect each of those components to see why this is such a easy but deceptive vanish. So guys, let's keep the fun rolling. There are a few other ways that you can get into a one-hand vertical vanish. Of course, you can just use your index finger to take the ring that's already in the system or the item that's already in the system and hold it at the fingertips. That's one way. We've discussed that. Another way is to place it onto the palm of the hand. If you're using a finger ring, you want the free side, not the side that's resting against the system, but the other side, allow it to rest on to the system like so. This way it just doesn't look as good and you get this levitation effect. But if you do it this way, it looks a lot more like it's sitting flat on the palm of the hand. From this point, all you have to do is create like a retention of vision. Simply by closing the fingers, you obscure the ring from view. The second the ring is obscured from view, all you have to do is continue closing the hand as you allow the ring to fall back to the crotch of the elbow. Now this can be done with the index, the middle, or the ring finger. So depending on how you wear your ring, if you're doing this with a wedding ring, or if you wear your ring on the middle or the index finger, it can all be done the exact same way. And it gets a very nice retention of vision. I'll do it again. You hold the ring here, and just by closing the fingers, and you'll notice I'm not going quickly. I'm really taking my time. You simply start closing the fingers, allow it to slide down, and it's an inexplicable vanish for just 2 or 3 people because they see the ring, they see it sitting on the palm of the hand, and then a moment later, it's gone. There's no way they can retrace it. And then again, if anytime you're ready to reproduce, what you can do, instead of just reaching into the air and grabbing it, what you can do is just allow the hand to fall, the ring will fall to the fingertips, and then you simply pretend to pull it out of your pocket and then display it that way. That's another way to go. Also, let's talk about a two-handed vanish. If you have a loose ring, like this is, you take it and place it on between the second and the first phalange, so it just rests loosely. You show the ring, and this is going to be a horizontal vanish. You tilt the elbow up, and you show the palm of the hand, and it's going to appear as if you're going to take the ring and pull it off. What actually happens, I'll do it exposed view. As the hands approach, your index finger is going to curl in, kicking the ring towards the crotch of the palm, crotch of the elbow, like so. So from here to here, and then it extends again. But that happens the moment the finger is covered, and then it extends like so. So from the front, it would look like this. And again, all you have to do is keep your elbow up. That's going to be extremely important because it hides the transit, hides the travel of the item going from the finger down to the crotch of the elbow. All right? You come from above, cover the item, or you can do it this way, whichever you prefer. I like coming from above, like so. Curl that finger in, kick it in, extend it again, so it looks like it's here. Now you can show this hand empty. Again, sleeves are rolled back. What I'm going to do is tuck this tight so that it doesn't flash as I show. Open the hand to show that the ring has vanished, and whenever you're ready, you can just drop the hand and pull that bad boy right out of your pocket, put it back on your finger. So guys, I want to show you this really cool two-handed vanish that has the same aesthetic of like the classic fake drop. The difference here is there's no sleight of hand. The hidden hand gimmick literally does all of the work for you. All you have to do is literally show the ring, drop it into the other hand, and wave. The second you do, it causes the ring to completely vanish. And you can just get the ring anytime you want. And it's kind of cool. How did you do that? All you have to do is, in this instance, I'm using the index finger setup, but you can also use the middle of the ring. You just pull the ring off, and I like to show it between the middle finger and thumb, leaving the index finger exposed. When you keep this in play, you just can't see that thread hanging there. If I just keep this in play. If I leave it still, of course, you'll see it here, you'll see it here. But if I just show it to you really quickly, there's nothing to see. If you don't feel comfortable with the index finger being extended, just keep it right beside the middle finger and just show the ring the exact same way. All you have to do, of course, this is exposed view, turn your free hand palm up and drop. What your audience is going to get is a visual of the coin falling towards the palm of your hand, and then the other hand is going to drop as if it caught the ring. So from here, boom, boom. It's a two-step action. 1, 2. By tilting the hand at a 45-degree angle or more towards yourself, it creates enough cover that you don't have to worry about flashing, and it's going to fall somewhere in the palm of your hand. All right? So from here to here. And then the second action is of catching the coin, catching the object, but instead of just closing the hand, allow the hand to fall a little bit so it continues the action, like so. So from here to here. Now what's going to happen is once it drops and you close, simply by closing the fingers, the hidden hand will allow the ring to fall back to the crotch. It causes a little bit of slack because right now, because the fingers are wide open and flexed, it can't cross this part of the hand over the wrist to get down to the crotch of the elbow. So by closing the fingers, gives it enough release to be able to go down while still following the contour of your forearm. All right, so from the front, once it's here, just by closing, by flexing, just as it appears as if you're waving. Now from this point, you can show the palm of the hand empty, and as you continue waving, now you can show both hands empty. And then again, just turn the hand at the wrist. I'll leave it exposed. You come down and reach to pull the item out of your pocket. And that is a really cool way to vanish the ring or any other small object. So with the hidden hand, you can do more than just vanishes in productions. You can also incorporate the two to create some very magical changes. For instance, if I was to take my ring and just change into a key, it would look something like that. So let's talk about how to do that. Of course, it's going into the hidden hand system. You start off by having the object that you want to change in finger palm. You take the ring, it's in the index finger or the middle finger setup. All you have to do is pull it off, and again, hold it between the middle finger and thumb as we taught in the vanish. It's going to fall as the hand opens up, and then all you have to do is pretend to catch the item the way I taught in the vanish. The only difference is you're holding an object out in finger palm, so that when you close, again, this falls to the crotch of the elbow. Now you can wave to show an empty hand, and when you open the hand, you've got this inexplicable change of one object into another. And at any point, you can just retrieve this. Of course, as Sean described, you can release this, let it fly up your sleeve as you pull the sleeves down. And that, again, is the change. Hope you dig it. Hey guys, so here's something really interesting with a finger ring. All you have to do is take the ring, give it a wave. The other hand goes underneath the table. Nothing there, just the ring. And if you watch, you're able to get the ring to pass straight through the table. What I really dig about this is there are a couple of moments where you have these really clean displays that you can't get in most object through table routines. You start off with your hidden hand gimmick either on your index finger or on your middle finger. Of course, your ring is in the system. You use the other hand to take it off, display it, and go into one of the vanishes that we taught. Again, this one is just here. Now, as the ring goes to the crotch of the elbow, you show the palm of the hand. So again, the ring is here. And then you place your hand under the table so that it's seen completely empty. Now, here's the really cool thing. The ring is still here. You can invite your audience to take a look underneath the table simply by sliding the arm forward and placing the ring flush against the table, so it's pinned there. Now you can show the hand front and back, nothing to be seen. Everyone thinks that the ring is here, when in fact it's in the hidden hand system, attached to the hidden hand system, pinned against the table itself. So now you can show the hand completely empty. As you tap the table, you're going to turn the hand palm down and allow the ring to fall down the hidden hand system to the fingers as the hand turns palm down. You can even point to where the moment is going to happen, so if they're still looking from underneath. And as you count 1, 2, on the third beat, you're simply going to open the hand and smack the ring flat against the table as the other hand comes away. So you show the ring, bring it back from underneath the table, place it back onto your hand so you're now clean, and you've got a 10-second miracle. Hope you enjoy it.
Well, that's it, guys. That's the hidden hand. I hope you enjoy what you learned, and I hope you get a lot of use out of it. In fact, I hope you get as much use out of it as I do. Before we go, there's a lot of people I have to give some shout outs to and thank for all the support and help during the creation and development of this project. First and foremost, I obviously have to thank my lovely wife, Courtney Yenderwich, for just being so amazing. I've got to thank Darcy Oak and Chris Funk for their endless support and input while I was developing this concept. I also want to thank Eric Jones for all of his wonderful contributions to this project, and Jason Brumbelow, George Tesoros, and Chris, I'm sorry Chris, I don't know your last name, for making this possible. So thank you to everybody, all my friends, the entire Murphy's team, thank you so much. I'd also like to point out that this is just the starting point. What we've shown you on this D, what we've taught you, is only the beginning of what can be done with the hidden hand. The beauty of this is that it's up to you. You're limited only by your own creativity. I can't wait to see some of the effects that you guys create and some of the routines that you use the hidden hand in. In fact, if you develop any routines or have any ideas for the hidden hand, please send them to me. I'd love to see them. And don't forget to follow us on all the usual social networking places: Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Follow, become a fan, and subscribe to keep up to date on all the latest from the magic community, as well as stay abreast on all the new ideas for the hidden hand. My name is Sean Fields. Thank you so much for purchasing this project. We'll see you around.
What's going on, guys? Chris Oberly here, and welcome to the bonus section of the hidden hand. What you guys are going to learn is a classic cap in bottle, which is a great effect, but with a hidden hand, it's made 10 times better. So let's get started. So you just watched the performance of cap and bottle. Now let's learn it. What you need is a water bottle and an extra cap. What you do with the extra cap, you put it in your left pocket face down. You give the bottle to the spectator and you ask them to check it out. Make sure the bottle is normal. I go after the bottle first. So I have them examine the bottle. As they're examining the bottle, making sure that there's nothing inside, that the sides are fine, there's nothing weird about the bottle. I'm going into my pocket, taking the cap, and I'm squeezing the cap like so. Getting the cap curved like this, because you have to load the extra cap into the water bottle. So as they're checking out the water bottle, I have my hand in my pocket. I'm saying, check out the water bottle, make sure the water bottle is normal, make sure there's nothing weird about it. And you're going into your pocket and you're squeezing the extra cap. You ask for the water bottle back. So I take the water bottle with my dirty hand. I have the extra cap palmed. So I'm taking the water bottle back and I'm grabbing the water bottle with my first finger and thumb. And remember, I have the extra cap that's already bent, palmed, finger palmed in my hand. And all I do is I load that inside of the water bottle. I don't push it in all the way, it just slides right in. Super easy to do. So let's do that one more time at speed. They give me the water bottle back. I load the cap in and I say, check out the cap. Make sure the cap is normal. As they're checking out the cap, I take the water bottle and I put the water bottle underneath my armpit. And you don't want to ask for the cap with your dirty hand. You don't want them to see the hidden hand. So I just have them put the cap into my left hand, and they'll just come over and they'll put it into your hand. You don't want to reach out for it. So that they're examining the cap, they're making sure that the cap is normal, nothing funny about it. You have the jewel drop down to your fingertips and you're holding it in this position, because you're going to ask for the cap back. And you want to load the hidden hand onto the cap itself. If it's face up, it's okay. All you have to do is just flip it over like so, and you talk to them. You want to look at eye contact. So when they're looking at you, all you have to do is load the hidden hand onto the cap itself. So we'll do that one more time. You checked out everything. You made sure everything was normal. You loaded the hidden hand onto the cap and you're holding it at your fingertips like this. Now you want to get the bottle. So what you do is, as you're talking to them, you grab the bottle and you don't want to flash the cap that's in the bottle, that's loaded inside the bottle. So you reach around, grab the bottle like this, and get into position to shoot the cap in. After you grab the bottle, you're in this position, and you don't want to hold it like this. You want to hold the bottle with your fingers towards the spectator. So you're blocking the cap with your hand. You give it a tap, you show the cap, and don't worry about showing the cap like this. They're not going to see the hidden hand. You don't want to show them like this, of course. You show them the cap, you give it 2 taps on the side, 2 taps on the bottom, and you let go. You let the cap roll down the hidden hand. At the same time, when you let it go, you push in with the cap and you shake it like this. And just an afterthought, you just flash your hands. So we'll do that again. You have the cap loaded into the water bottle. Show the cap. One tap on the bottom, 1 tap on the sides. Boom. You let the hidden hand roll up your arm. Go like this. Show your hand and give them the bottle. As they're checking out the bottle, the cap and bottle, you have all the time in the world to just take the cap off and just put it right in your pocket. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed the cap and bottle with the hidden hand.